The evening started off like any other, filled with the comfort of familiarity as we lounged on the couch in our cozy apartment. Flipping through the endless options on Netflix, there was an easy rhythm to our banter, light teasing and playful. Despite the minor disagreements that arose over our choice of shows, I felt a sense of contentment. We had been together for 2 years, a time filled with shared experiences, laughter, and a bond that I believed was solid. Sure, every relationship has its ups and downs, but I had always thought that what we shared was genuine and worth the effort to maintain. However, as the night progressed, an unsettling tension crept into the atmosphere. Her phone began to light up repeatedly, casting a glow that contrasted sharply with the dim light of the room. Initially, I dismissed it, attributing it to a friend or perhaps a family member. But the way she smiled at the screen, the quickness with which she locked it, and her sudden shift in demeanor when I was around began to gnaw at me. She started placing her phone face down whenever we were together, a small yet telling gesture that hinted at something concealed beneath the surface. As the flickering images from the screen danced before us, my unease grew. I had always prided myself on being secure in our relationship, not the jealous type, but that night something shifted. I could no longer ignore the signs. Gathering my courage, I turned to her, my voice steady yet firm. "Who keeps texting you?" The dramatic sigh she let out, and the eye roll that followed felt dismissive, as if my concern was trivial. "Why do you care?" she shot back, her tone laced with irritation. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain my composure because we're together and I feel like there's something you're not telling me. Her response came swift and unexpected. Leaning back with an air of nonchalance, she crossed her arms and with a smirk that sent shivers down my spine declared, "There are plenty of men who want me." Time seemed to freeze as I processed her words, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, waiting for her to backtrack or laugh it off. But she didn't. Instead, she picked up her phone and resumed scrolling as if our conversation had been nothing more than a fleeting interruption. In that moment, I felt a profound realization wash over me. I had been tirelessly working to be the man she wanted, focusing on keeping her happy and loved. But what about my own worth? Nodding slowly, I felt the weight of her words settle in my chest. "Good to know," I finally replied, my voice devoid of anger, but heavy with disappointment. She looked up, bewildered by my response. I grabbed my keys from the table, turning to her one last time. "If there are plenty of men who want you, then you won't miss me." With that, I walked out, a sense of finality in my step. I expected her to chase after me, to call or text, anything that would indicate she still cared. But as the minutes turned, into hours and hours into a restless night, I realized I was alone in this. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a message that never came. Perhaps she was waiting for me to reach out, to fall back into my old pattern of returning after an argument. But not this time. This time, I chose to focus on myself. Over the next few weeks, I dedicated myself to self-improvement. I hit the gym, reconnected with old friends, and engaged in activities I had neglected while trying to nurture our relationship. It felt liberating, freeing even, as I began to rediscover parts of myself that had been overshadowed by our dynamic. I no longer felt the need to seek validation from her or anyone else. I learned to enjoy my own company and appreciate the moments where I was simply me. 2 weeks later, I received the simple, "Hey." The message blinked on my screen and I found myself staring at it, contemplating whether to respond. But then I remembered her choice, the words she had thrown at me with such casualness, and I made mine. I left the message on read, a small act of defiance against the emotional turmoil she had put me through. A month had passed before I saw her again, with friends, enveloped in laughter and camaraderie when she walked into the room. She looked different, perhaps tired or burdened by regret. Our eyes met from across the space, and for a fleeting moment, time seemed to rewind to when things were simpler. Yet now there was a heaviness in her demeanor, a palpable weight that signified the shift that had occurred in our lives. As she approached, I could sense her uncertainty. She hesitated, taking slow steps toward my table. When she reached me, I felt a flicker of something. Was it guilt, hope, Or perhaps a mix of both, hey? She said softly, her voice almost shy, as if the confident woman I once knew had faded away. I nodded in acknowledgement, but remained silent. Not out of anger, but rather a profound sense of detachment. I wasn't sure what to say anymore. The words she had spoken previously echoed in my mind, and I realized they had already said everything that needed to be said. I was wrong, she admitted, her gaze fixed on her drink, fingers nervously tapping on the glass. I thought I had options, but they weren't real. Nothing like what we had. Her words resonated deeply, pulling me back to a time when I would have given anything to hear her say something like that. A time when I would have done anything to mend what was broken between us. But now it felt hollow. The old me would have jumped at the chance to take her back to believe in the hope of rekindling what we once had. But that person was gone, transformed by the experiences of the past weeks. You're right, I finally replied, my voice calm and steady, almost detached. They weren't real, but I was. I could see her searching my eyes for forgiveness, perhaps hoping for a hint that I still cared. But I no longer felt that obligation. As she reached for my hand, a familiar gesture that once made me feel cherished, I instinctively pulled away. It wasn't out of anger. It was a testament to how much I had grown. I had learned to value myself more than ever before. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said, offering a small smile. Born not from regret or longing, but from understanding. I recognize that sometimes the hardest decision is to walk away from someone who fails to appreciate your worth. Turning back to my friends, I resumed our conversation, feeling a sense of quiet peace wash over me. It was about recognizing my self-worth, even when she didn't. As I walked away from her, I realized something profound. I wasn't bitter or angry, I was simply done. She thought she had options, and perhaps she did. But so did I this time. I chose myself. I was not searching for validation or someone to fill the void. I had already discovered my worth, and that realization offered me the greatest freedom I could ever attain.